this is the first time in almost 10 years of doing this show I'm wearing a T-shirt.
Nice.
But I'm wearing it in support of one of my favorite television shows starring, in part, this man who's here, Oliver Platt, in advance of Season 3 of FX's The Bear, available for streaming right now exclusively on Hulu. Great to see you, sir.
Right back at you. I'm so impressed that what you're wearing.
The original birth
Collector's item.
Chicagoland. This is a collector's item, right?
As Richie, predicted when he's unboxing them and realizing that he screwed up heavily, right? Oh, it's a collector's item. Collector's item.
Oliver Platt is here. Again, Season 3 of FX's The Bear is available for streaming right now exclusively on Hulu, which you can see right here on the Roku platform. And for the radio audience, I changed into my my priceless giveaway that I received from the makers of this outstanding show, because I've been talking about The Bear for so long, the original birth of Chicagoland. I got my shirt on, and I got Uncle Jimmy here. Dude, this show's amazing. You're awesome in it.
Oh, you're very kind. I agree with you that it is a remarkable television show. It's like, it's a writing. I mean, when I got the script, I was like, I didn't trust myself.
What do you mean?
Well, that I'd been working on a Chicago Med for 7 years, happily.
Yes.
And it was the only job I needed, only job I wanted. Mm-hmm. All the kids were doing, like, what's my hiatus movie going to be? I'm like, my hiatus movie's, on a beach in Maine, right? It's called The Beach in Maine. But eventually I was, all of a sudden I had this panic one day, like around season 7. I was like, man, I need to, like, I got to go to the gym, right? I need to remind. I'm a freelancer. I never played one role for 7 years.
Right.
It's unnatural, right? And so I just let my agents know that I would, maybe be, and this is the first thing that I was sent. And
The Bear was the first thing you were sent when you became open to getting some other ideas.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And what was especially magical about it is that it's shot also in Chicago. Not just in Chicago, but on the same frickin' lot.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And so you must have the Chicago accent down pat just because of that alone, right?
Without knowing it, I think I'd been absorbing it.
Right.
The wonderful guys that drive us to work. They come from a lot of these neighborhoods, become my good friends. Mm-hmm. And I'm a talker, and we talk going to work and coming back, and I think I just sort of I must have absorbed it somehow.
It just feels, when I'm watching you play Uncle Jimmy in this, Oliver, that it just rolls off the tongue. That the way it's written, it's something that you can get right away, and then add your own special twist to it. It's the way it feels like to me when I'm watching it at home.
I mean, it's I always say it's just the writing.
Yes.
But the amazing thing about Chris, I remember the first time I called him to say hello, because I didn't want to just show up on the set without having even said hello to the guy.
Chris Storer.
So I called him up, and I sort of just say, hey man, how you doing? And I don't know, I kind of maybe manufactured a question about a speech that I had or something, and I was like, hey, I wanted to ask you about the, goes, oh, hey, dude, can we swear on this show?
Go ahead.
He said, say whatever the fuck you want. I'm like, what? I'm like, I said, I can say what's written too, right? If I want, right? I mean, he really understands the kind of fluidity of the medium, and he encourages, he loves it when people mess around, and it's just ironic because a lot of the time you're not being encouraged to mess around with stuff that you wish you could.
Sure, exactly. And again, your character is just funny. I mean, just funny without intending to be funny, but intentionally trying to be funny. It's really just great to watch you do your work for this show that is serious and funny at the same time. It is beautiful. It moves you.
So moving. I mean,
and
he sucker punches you. You know what I mean? All the time.
Yes,
sucker punches you.
No doubt. And I want to ask you about one episode in particular, and I think you're probably going to guess which one it is. It's the Christmas episode from season 2. Fishes. Yeah. Okay, and the cast that's in this, the regulars, and then John Mulaney, Bob Odenkirk, Jamie Lee Curtis, Sarah Paulson, just to name a few.
Yeah.
What was that like on the set? that day, that week, were weeks that you shot that.
You know, it was like, it was one of the most. We shot in this little house in Evanston, right, which is a northern suburb of Chicago.
Where Northwestern is, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was a little house, and then there was like a house across the street where the actors hung out. And I don't know what to tell you, but it was like summer camp. I know a couple of those people and work with them, but you know, honestly, you know, I talked with a member of the cast, and you know, we've been a little like stunt casting, right? Like, in other words, having really famous people play smaller roles than they might. It's what gives it a bad name, but it can take people out of the show, because all of a sudden you're going, oh my God, that's, and Chris was, first of all, he's brilliant at casting, so like these people were all perfectly cast, right? But he was also really, really deft at sort of, he would introduce them and then they'd go away to let people get used to the idea. And then when, by the time things really kicked into gear in that episode, you were like, also because all these people are, again, so talented. But it was, you know, one of the things that Chris is really brilliant at is creating a wonderful atmosphere to work in, you know, and it's playful, it's productive, it doesn't do a lot of takes. So you have your bags packed, you know what I mean? Like, you know your freaking lines. But it's thrilling, you know, and it's just fun.
The
right?
scene around the dinner table, when Bob Odenkirk, one of the uncles,
right,
tells John Bernthal, who plays, you know, Carmy's brother, or soon to be late brother, that starts the whole reason for the bear, right? When he tells him to not, you know, throw another fork, right, at him, and he proceeds to do it, I'm sitting at home thinking, oh my God, this is going to be something. What is it like? You just mentioned that you're not taking multiple takes when you're sitting around a table.
Not
like
multiple
that.
takes, but long takes too. He loves the long take.
Right.
You know, as was sort of, as he tipped his hand on that with that incredible episode, episode 7 of the first season, which is like one take in the kitchen when everything goes to hell, right? Right. So, but the great thing about that is that it really, because, you know, narrative tension is what you're talking about, yes, right? And that's what we all are seeking, certainly as viewers, right? And we're all sitting around the table, and listen, shooting scenes around tables can be a nightmare because you do it over and over again, because you've got to get all these different angles. But Chris had, you know, his incredible, Drew is director of photography. They had all the cameras set up. And, you know, these were, the first piece was from when we basically kind of after we sat down, a little bit after we sat down until Jamie enters. I mean, it's about, I don't know, it was 7 or 8 minutes. That's a long time. So in other words, the tension got to build. You're sitting there around the table and it just, first of all, makes you incredible. It makes it very easy for you to do your job because you're just reacting in real time. Oh, absolutely.
Not like, oh God.
I mean, there's a lot of the stuff that came out of my mouth was because as if you will, the closest thing to a patriarch that around that table, which I was. Yes. Watching it get out of hand, I said to Chris between days, I said, dude, I wouldn't let this happen. I got to get in there. He said, get in there. And so that's when I started like yelling at people and
trying to keep the peace.
Well, sort of trying to because I didn't want there to be. Nobody wanted to throw that fork. You know, nobody wanted to throw that fork, of course. But as an actor, it's kind of nirvana, right? Because you're the biggest enemy of acting for the screen anyway. Is just all is all the time between takes and cutting the camera. You often do very, very short pieces, right? And I love it. I love crafting these little things. But this is a kind of you almost like you're in a little bit of a play. Right?
I was literally going to tell that to you, Oliver, that it felt like I was watching a live performance, that scene, and how it was ratcheting up and how intense it was. And the best compliment I can even remotely pay is I was late to streaming the season for various reasons. And I heard about the Christmas episode. You've got to see the Christmas episode. It's it's unlike any other, and there's a bunch of cameos in it, and I try to stay away from it, and it was better than I expected. Again, the expectation level for me was raised so high.
Rich, when I read that episode,
yeah,
I was really like, I think that might be the best episode of television I've ever read.
No kidding.
But by the way, just because something awesome on the page doesn't always necessarily, but you know, in this case, a lot there was. I think there was. I mean, I certainly read a lot of the episode got a lot of attention. We're talking about it right now, but you want to know what's ironic? You know what is actually my favorite episode of that season?
What's that?
Is the next one, which ironically is called Forks. It's the one where Richie goes to the restaurant.
It's beautiful.
It's I was like recovering from I had an ankle thing going on, and so I, like you, I didn't stream it right away because I learned from the I wanted to have a lot of time because I knew that it was just going to be was going to go boom 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 boom. You just want to keep on watching, right?
Yes.
And I was so grateful that I was alone in the basement of my house watching that episode because I started to like make I just found it deeply moving.
It was beautiful.
I started to like moo like a cow, make all these sort of weird animal noises that I'm just so grateful nobody else was in the house to hear me. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It would be deeply embarrassing even alone. You know, I embarrassed myself alone. No, I think, and it's confusing because that episode's called Forks, whereas the Fishes is actually about forks.
I know that.
Right?
You would think that it would be called Forks, but it's about fishes because of
always messing with our head.
Well, I mean, and again, because then that's one of the many things about the Bear that I do love is there's a lot of characters to root for. And Richie, you root for him, and you're waiting for him for all these episodes to turn a corner, right? To turn a corner. And I don't want to give too much away, but just that episode is beautiful to watch him locate a corner, like to actually know one exists. And the way that it was all laid out was kind of a surprise.
Totally.
And beautiful to watch develop. It's a great, man.
But it's also, you know, I think one of the things that Chris also is a real facility for is working with time and flashbacks. Fishes is a flashback, right? Mm-hmm. If it happens 5 years before, Mikey's still alive, it happens 5 years before sort of the general chronological area of what you call the present in the Bear, right? Yes. And what makes it's so heartbreaking is that like we see Richie and Tiffany, who we know from the rest of, from the show we've already watched, that the relationship doesn't last. You know what I mean? And I mean, one of my favorite scenes in that, one of my favorite love scenes ever, is when Richie goes upstairs. You know, Tiffany's pregnant; she's got morning sickness. He goes up there to check on her, and they just have this wonderful conversation, and it's so affectionate and so real, you know, and that makes what happens in Forks so devastating, right? Because you know but it's also devastating just to watch that. It's so sad because we know that relationship is not going to last, right? We know that marriage is not going to last. And then at the beginning of Forks, she calls him to tell him. I said, we don't have to worry about spoiler. I mean, everybody's seen.
Go ahead.
Are you worried about your audience not having seen The Bear?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
No, go ahead. Just keep going.
Too late, man. It's all your fault.
It's my fault. I'm the one wearing the shirt.
I'm rolling now.
No, it's
no. But we when she calls him, to tell him that she's getting remarried, because she doesn't want him to hear from anybody else, and we know that she's trying to be casual, but we know she's heartbroken because she still, you know, loves the guy, and he's outside that restaurant where he doesn't want to polish the forks, right? Mm-hmm. And it just sets up. The thing about Forks is so amazing. I don't think I've ever. We watch. What you want to have happen in a narrative is for a character to change.
Yes.
That's why we watch stories, right? Do we see what does the story do to this person? How do they change? I have never seen a character change more, undergo a transformation in whatever that episode is, 40, 50 minutes in my life. And again, it's all the setup is there, but
it's beautiful. And by the way, just to put a button on it, your character, I never want to see change. I want you just to be the same dude that you are every damn episode.
Yeah, trying to remember that, Rich.
Never change, Oliver Platt. Never change.
Don't ever change.
Don't ever change. All right, so we have a celebrity true or false that we'd love to play with you here. Okay, here we go. Again, season 3 of FX is The Bear, available for streaming right now, exclusively on Hulu. It's time for celebrity true or false with Oliver Platt, and this is, don't be blown away too much by our production value. Okay, hit it. Hit it, please.
Celebrity Jeopardy! True or false?
You can't handle the truth.
That's it. That's our production.
That is a great segment, man.
Thank you.
That's
and we haven't even spoken
very
about
economical.
it. Thank you. Hey, listen, there's shoestring around here, brother.
I don't think so, man. Look at this place.
First up, true or false, your first paying TV gig was on an episode of The Equalizer, followed by an episode of Miami Vice.
True.
How about them apples?
True.
So your first Oliver Platt showing up all rosy cheeked on the episode of The Equalizer?
Yeah, my manager really wanted me to, and he was very smart to, because I came up on the stage, and he wanted me to work in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something, it's a really disorienting. It's such an eccentric, weird way. He was just smart. He wanted me to spend some time figuring that stuff out.
And that's you, by the way, on Miami Vice.
Miami Vice.
Were you the only guy to ever wear a bow tie in the history of Miami Vice?
You know, that guy, he was an arms dealer.
Is that right?
His name was Speed Styles. And they wanted him to be like a, excuse me,
yes.
sort of like a classic. I said, let's turn him into a preppy. Let's make him like a preppy.
This was your twist to
the just the wardrobe and, and the glasses and stuff.
And the wardrobe person's like, what's a bow tie for Miami Vice?
It was like season 18. I think they were just like thrilled to have somebody be interested, you know. By the way, legendary television show. No
doubt.
No. But I was thrilled, you know. I was bummed out I didn't get to work with Crockett and Tubbs.
You did not.
Were they Crockett and Tubbs?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
No, I didn't get to work with them.
What the hell?
I know.
What about Edward?
I was being stung undercover by one of the cops.
What about Edward Woodward? Did you work with the legendary Equalizer?
I don't think I did.
Oh, dude.
I was a thug. In the Equalizer, I didn't have any lines. I was a thug. I was like staring into an aquarium while you know, my cohorts were doing evil in an apartment, literally. But let me tell you something. I was so glad that you know, because working in front of a camera is really weird. So when you first do it, it's just weird, man. It's weird. They do little pieces over and over again, and where do I look and where do I not look? And
well, it worked out for you.
Well, you know,
you're off and running. Second one, Oliver Platt. True or false? You are the second cousin once removed of Princess Diana.
It's kind of the truth.
What do you mean?
My mother has English relatives.
Okay.
And my mom's, I can't remember what, but literally it's like she was a second cousin, so I'm once removed.
Okay.
I think my mom's grandmother and her grandfather were brother and sister. I never met her.
Oh, you never? Okay, no. That was the follow-up question.
No, I never met her.
You never went to some royal. You weren't you were invited to the royal wedding.
You actually check this out.
Okay.
We were invited
to the
wedding.
Okay.
By by this cousin who my mom was one of her favorites.
Okay.
An important cousin who was able to, and when her mom found out, you're having these like loser Americans. We got that Elton John. That's Elton John's seat. And no, so we were literally. Now listen, hold on. I was in college, and I actually kind of regret this because they had such a ball. But I was like, we're just all jumping up and down because, you know, like we don't really know these people, and what are we doing?
You were too cool for school to go.
I was too cool. And by the way, the English cousins were so embarrassed about we were literally disinvited. But they were so bad. They were like, please come over. So they ended up like they went and had like tea with the Queen Mother. They had the most amazing seat. They had an absolute ball.
Come on.
And me, I was too cool for school, man. Oh well.
I would have gone just to see what the hors d'oeuvre setup was, man.
You know, I was a college student. You know that it's a specific breed.
Too young to know.
Yeah, too young to know.
All right. Speaking of college, 2 more to go. Oliver Platt, celebrity, true or false? You became a Red Sox fan in college. You went to Emerson College, right?
Tufts University.
Tufts. Okay, Tufts University. Pardon me. Red Sox fan, and then you went from hating George Steinbrenner to respecting him after you played George in The Bronx is Burning.
You know, you can't. One of the reasons I wanted to play George Steinbrenner was because, as a Red Sox fan, I detested him, and it was a great role. It was in this. It was this like twisted love triangle between, you know, Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson and Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
Was sort of the talk about dysfunctional, you know, craziness. But it was like you as an actor, you cannot judge any character that you're going to play. You can't. You have to like, you know, I had an acting teacher said, like, if you're playing like one of the great villains of history, you need to act like you are standing in front of the pearly gates arguing with God why you should be let in. So you got to get in. You got to see the world from their point of view, right?
Yeah.
I mean, awful people thought that they were helping by doing what they did, right? So I don't want to mention his name, but you know, nobody thinks they're a villain. George Steinbrenner, and by the way, and so in the process of researching him,
yes.
I actually became incredibly impressed by all of the stuff that he actually, you know, he brought like, you tell me if I'm wrong, you would know better than me.
Yes, sir.
He brought like showbiz to, you know, to the game. He
From
said,
Ohio, he was a shipbuilder.
He was like, this is an entertainment.
Yes.
Like all those big, you know, people, mascots with big fuzzy hats on, and you know, people doing dance routines. Steinbrenner started all that stuff.
Well, he wanted nothing to do with anything but winning. That's
Right.
all he wanted. And so you know, portraying Steinbrenner and John Turturro as Billy Martin.
Oh, my God. He was
Holy
amazing.
cow. By
He
the
was
way,
amazing.
his brother, John, Nick Turturro, is a crazy-ass Yankee fan. It's the only way to put it. But again, just you playing George. Do you still have the jacket? You got the George jacket, the
don't
Dickie?
have- I don't
Did
think-
you wear the white Dickie? Did you get that thing going?
We got it all going. Another reason it was terrifying to me is I never play. It's really scary to play a real person.
Yes.
That people can go, oh, I actually know that real person. Now let me see how he's doing. And you got to be very careful. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't do you can't do an impression. You know, like our friend Hank Azaria is so good at.
Yes.
He never does that for this stuff.
Right.
So you have to sort of try and capture the essence. But it was, I don't know. It was just a real challenge. I had to dye my hair red. You know,
I didn't even know he was a redhead. Last one for you. You were cast in the Married to the Mob film after Bill Murray saw you in a small off-Broadway play, and he recommended you to Jonathan Demme.
True. It's true. I was doing my very first thing that I did on stage in New York was this little a one-act play festival.
Yeah.
And, you know, my beloved, dear departed cousin Frankie was his neighbor in the Pacific Palisades.
Was Bill Murray's neighbor?
Yeah, and she said, you got to come to my Christmas party and meet Bill. And I was going to go to the Christmas party anyway. And I was, you know, and there was Bill. And Bill was lovely. We had a wonderful conversation. And I was never a natural networker.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the conversation, Bill says, hey, well, is there something that I could see you in? And I'm like, you know what? As a matter of fact, there is. I never thought that he would come, you know, but it was the day we were closing, the last matinee. I was in this little one-act play after the intermission.
Yeah.
And the guy that owned the place comes back and his like face is white, and he's like, there's this little hole in the wall off Broadway Theater. He's like, Bill Murray's here. And he says he's here to see you. I was like, not actually the thing you want to tell an actor right before he goes on, but this was the end of the thing, and I was pretty confident what I was doing. Anyway, yeah, we went out and had a nice chat, and you know, somebody dropped out of that movie.
Married to the Mob.
Yep. And on the same day, the casting director for his movie and Bill said this weird name to him, which Oliver Platt, and it was like, what? And so we went and had lunch together, and the rest is history.
Yeah, there you go. You with Matthew Modine right
Oh
there.
my God!
Yeah,
I
brother.
wish I'd kept that jacket.
No doubt. I remember you too in Working Girl, because I'm a Staten Islander. That was a big movie for all of us in Staten Island. That you take the ferry to come to the big city, and then suddenly took over.
Yep.
You know, and became big in big business. And I remember that movie. Did you ever go to Harrison Ford story? Were you on the set with him at anything like that for Working Girl?
I had a little. That was just a couple
just a
of
little
little
stuff?
things. No,
Okay.
I had this sort of. I never got to know, man. You don't always get to work with with your heroes with the big. When you're starting out, and then when you do, it's terrifying.
Well, you are now, man. Like I said, I'm clearly, wearing this T-shirt, a huge fan of the Bear, and you in it. And this is awesome that you're out here and you get to take some time to come down here.
You're so kind. You really are,
brother.
I appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. And anything we should know about season 3 at all?
You're under
wraps.
Okay.
I mean, it's out.
They got you. Well, right. But I mean, let's.
Okay, it's streaming.
I'm literally terrified, like that the FX death drone is going to come here and like inject me with some sort of serum. if I say the wrong thing.
We don't need that then?
Yeah, so let's just keep it. Let's just. I got a big day ahead of me. I don't need no drone injecting me right now.
What's the future of it? How many more seasons do you think we got here for the Bear? If you had to guess, what do you think?
You know, I think that literally, I happen to know the answer to that question. I'm too terrified to tell you.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there a finite end date? Do we know?
You know.
Oh my goodness! All right, Chef. I appreciate that.
Maybe. You know.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was so much fun.
Oliver Platt, you are the man. Everyone, again, check out Season 3 of FX's The Bear, available for streaming right now, exclusively on Hulu. And you can obviously see that right here on the Roku portal. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.